My name is Laura Parisi. I am the 8th grade guidance counselor here at Western.
Hi, I'm Mr. Healy, assistant principal, Western Middle School.
My name is Mr. Orlando. I'm an 8th grade English teacher at Western Middle School in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Well, my name is Mr. Sackey. I am an assistant principal at Western Middle School.
My name is Miss Willie, and I teach social studies at Western Middle School.
Well, when students or kids are experiencing online bullying, it's really important that they notify their parents as soon as possible. Ask for help. The worst thing that kids can do is not tell an adult and handle the situation on their own, because usually what happens is when you try to handle a situation on your own, it can really escalate. There is a situation where you're being bullied online and you know who it is, never ever delete the post, text messages, that's all used as evidence.
Definitely not try to handle it themselves. That usually tends to make things a little bit more challenging and complex. My advice would be to let their parents know, let members of the school know, especially if it's another student in the school, because we have systems and supports in place to address those situations. But once a student tries to handle it themselves, it usually tends to get a little bit worse rather than better.
If you're experiencing online bullying, it's really important that you inform an adult of the bullying that is taking place. You have to go to either a parent or someone that you trust within your school system and let them know what's happening, because if you don't tell someone, it's going to continue, it's not going to stop, and it may even get worse. So it's really important to confide in someone that can do something about it, someone that's in a position of power like a parent or a teacher.
I think it's important to tell somebody because it's tough to read those things. It's tough to read mean things about you. And you shouldn't have to, ever. But if you do, you should at least find some comfort in somebody else. The cyberbully himself, I think that kids need to realize that that's what's wrong, not them. Like, forget about what they're saying about you. And it's easier said than done. But you're a good person.
If I was being cyberbullied, I'd probably delete that certain social media account that I was being cyberbullied on, and I'd probably tell one of my friends or my mom. I would just ignore it because there's really no point in actually thinking about it because it's not true at all.
I would tell them to stick up for themselves and tell an adult.
Certain sites like Ask.fm, where you post anonymous comments, that's probably the worst website to use. It may cause students to start feeling less self-worth. So the best way to avoid those situations is not being on websites that A, you're not supposed to be on, because there's an age limit, and B, to not be on any ones that there can be anonymous posts.
I think that, in terms of the school, what we try to do is educate. We try to educate students on the ways to treat each other and what's appropriate and not appropriate to be saying. In terms of students, it's really about accepting your responsibility for the things that you say, respecting each other, and, sort of the old rule of treat others the way you want to be treated. Nobody really likes to receive anything mean or nasty about them, so why they then send it to others and feel that it's okay is always something I struggle with trying to understand.
There are a lot of kids who go on to websites numerous times and they see inappropriate things that are on there about other students. I think the biggest way to stop it is to empower those kids to see it and come and tell somebody.
I would tell them to ignore it and don't even get worried about it.
I'd really try to help them, I think. Oftentimes the reason for cyberbullying goes deeper than just the surface level of meanness. So why is it that this person thinks it's okay to say these mean things? Why is it they feel they need to say these things? And trying to get to the root cause of the issue so that we can then work backward and provide education as to how better to handle any issues or concerns they may be having, as opposed to lashing out, especially online where there's the anonymity of being behind your computer or in your own home or whatever the case might be, it's too easy to say mean things. Talking to people about, they still hurt just as much if you're in person or on a computer. And would you say that to someone's face? Oftentimes students say, no, we wouldn't. So why do you think it's okay to do it behind a computer?
I kind of wouldn't engage with the cyberbullying, because the one thing that I do know about bullying is that, if you're going to go back and forth, it's never going to stop. So I probably would advise not to say anything to them. I would instead is be proactive and get all the evidence to show that you were being bullied and you didn't retaliate and you didn't do anything back.
I'll tell them to cut it out, and that can get them into a lot of trouble. And the same way that they would not like somebody doing that to them, it's not appropriate for them to be doing that to somebody else.
There's like no point, really. If you're bullying somebody else, and if you're cyberbullying, and especially if you're cyberbullying, you're just perpetuating some hate in the world, which is dominant these days and unnecessary. I mean, a lot of good things happen in the world, and we don't get the attention on that because there's so many terrible things happening also. And perpetuating that hate is immature and it's mean. But doing it online is even worse. No one can understand what you mean, how you feel, and you don't have to see the reaction that somebody else has because it's online. So it's kind of shameful and like cowardly to try to hurt someone in such a ambiguous way via the internet.
What I would tell a cyberbully is that we really have to remember that the person behind the computer screen that's receiving your comments is still a human being. And just because you're doing something on the internet doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt. Additionally, even if you have a username that isn't identifiable by your name, you can still be found out and you can get in trouble for some of the things that you've written online. It is a crime to bully people online, just as it is a crime to bully people in person. Making comments online is unacceptable when they are rude and mean in nature, no matter what the case. So if you are someone that's written something on computers that you believe might be something like cyberbullying, you need to stop now and remember that what you say has an impact on people.